I'd love to skip ahead a few years because you did the Yammer thing, and then you had a few different like roles leading RevOps at a few different startups, but
Yep.
then you joined SalesLoft
Yep.
as like a VP of Solutions
Yep.
Consulting, which I mean SalesLoft is another one of these iconic
Yeah.
companies sort of the era. So I'm curious, like how did you end up at SalesLoft, and then
Yep.
why the switch into solutions consulting?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great story too. So fast forward to let's say 2015. I was at a company called Datahug, a small startup, got acquired by Calidus Cloud, who got acquired by SAP. They're kind of folded into SAP now today. But at the time, small. I mean, I don't think we ever got bigger than 30 to 40 people. Company was based in Dublin, Ireland. We had a small San Francisco office, and I got approached by First Round Capital. So First Round Capital has a blog. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It's pretty cool. Their whole First Round's philosophy is they want to get in early, seed stage, Series A, and they really want to help founders, grow the different parts of the company, and they want to be able to fill in the parts that maybe the founder isn't good at, right? So if a founder is a good product person, maybe they need help on the sales side. If their founder is a good salesperson, maybe they need help on the product side. So they have this blog that basically goes in depth on a lot of different topics to help founders and early companies kind of understand the pieces that they might not have. And they got word of, they kind of heard the story of me at Yammer, and they approached me and they said, Don, we would really love to do an article about your experience at Yammer and kind of what you're doing today in RevOps, because we think it would be really great to share with other founders, right? And they had a woman by the name of Camille Ricketts come and interview me. Her and I talked for about an hour and a half. We talked about the story I just talked about at Yammer, kind of some of the things I was doing at Datahug. And she wrote this like 5,000 word article on the First Round blog. And I'm like, whoa, it was a really long article. And come to find, I didn't know this, but Camille Ricketts was a former Wall Street Journal reporter. He does these really in-depth articles. And so she did this really long article. It was very, flattering for me. It was like, spoke highly of what I did at Yammer and what I was doing at Datahug. First Round loved it, right? They were like, wow, this is a great article. Don, would you mind maybe speaking to some of our other founders? We have a forum kind of similar to Reddit where, you can hop on and kind of do an ask me anything. We'll let all of our members know that, like, hey, if you want to know about sales ops, rev ops, Don Otvos, here's the article. You can come ask him whatever you want. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be happy to do that. So I jumped on, and I'm at, people, there are lots of these questions. I'm doing this ask me anything, blah 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 blah. And then I think Pete Kazanji was on there. And at the end of it, Pete got in contact with me, and he's like, hey, I'm a founder. He founded a company called Talent Bin that got acquired by Monster. And he was kind of working with First Round, trying to figure out what he wanted to do, what he was going to do next. And he's like, I'm an engineer, but I really want to solve the sales problem. And so, if you look at Pete today, he's the founder of Atrium, a great sales management platform for understanding how to help your reps, do better, and really trying to help others solve that motion of revenue operations. He's wrote a really good book about it. But reverse back to 2016, he hadn't done any of that yet. And so his whole thing was he wanted to see what he could do around creating a community for RevOps. And he's like, I'm going to do a dinner at the First Round office, and I'm trying to find other people that do RevOps. And would you want to come join us for this dinner? And I'm like, sure. So it was a dinner, 20 people. And what it turned into was what is today Modern Sales Pros. And Modern Sales Pros is a fantastic organization I'm really proud to be a part of. There's thousands of people on it. Basically, the whole community, it's a community of RevOps folks that are just like, I need to solve this problem. I don't think this problem is new to me. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. How do I do it? And it's a really good forum for asking those kinds of questions and doing those kinds of things. So I did that, and then that started to grow. And fast forward to 2016, I'm at Datahug. Datahug gets acquired. I was a customer of SalesLoft at the time because I had met Kyle Porter at a Salesforce event, one of those side events, right? Salesforce always had all these little side events, and he was speaking and I was speaking from Datahug. And I'm looking at what SalesLoft is doing. And again, if you go back to 2016, this is the days before any kind of sales engagement platform existed, right? So like what SalesLoft was doing back then was really revolutionary. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So I'm peppering them with questions, right? And I turn around and there's maybe 5 people in the audience, right? I'm the one asking all the questions. And then at the end of it, Kyle's like, "Who are you?" Right? And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Don Otvos. I run RevOps at this company called Datahug, and I think what you're doing is really cool." And so he ended up, I ended up becoming a customer, and I raved about them on Modern Sales Pros. And so like every time someone's like, "Oh, what do you think of Outreach versus SalesLoft?" I'm like, "Oh man, go with SalesLoft. They're way better." I'm just a total cheerleader for SalesLoft. And then the day that Datahug gets acquired, which, oh my gosh, I think it's exactly 8 years ago to the day, because it was right around the election 8 years ago. Kyle calls me and he goes, "Don, how do I get you to join SalesLoft?" And I'm like, "Well, you probably want a RevOps person to be based in Atlanta. And I know somebody who's amazing, Aaron Bush, who is actually a member of Modern Sales Pros, who I know is looking for a job. I'm like, you should probably hire her because she's fantastic and she's in Atlanta." And he's like, so they ended up hiring her. And he was like, "Nope, but he's like, how do I get you to join us? I want you to come join us." And I'm like, "Well, again, I don't want to move to Atlanta, and I don't, and what am I going to do in San Francisco?" And he's like, "Don, I'm going to send you a Google Doc with some ideas about roles that I think you could perform for SalesLoft and stay living in San Francisco. And you tell me what you think. And I want you to pick one of them, and we're going to make it work." And I'm like, "Okay, Kyle." And so Kyle sends us over, and the thing we ended up settling on was, wouldn't it be great to have somebody on phone calls with the sales team that had the experience of being a user of SalesLoft, having a RevOps background, someone that could talk, knows how to wear a sales hat, basically come at the angle of like, "Hey, here's where I have seen success in using SalesLoft. Help me understand what you're trying to do. Okay, great. Here's how I think SalesLoft can help you." So basically help, be that technical resource for the sales team and be able to talk the talk and walk the walk of being a consumer of SalesLoft, and really be able to help to serve that customer and help them out on their journey and what they're trying to do and accomplish, and have SalesLoft be a part of that. And so that's what it ended up being. And it ended up being solutions consulting. And I grew that team to 7 people and, rode that wave with SalesLoft. I was going out to Atlanta, all the time, but, stayed in San Francisco. We had two or three people in San Francisco, and just grew the company from there. Every time I told the sales team, I'm like, "Look, whatever you need from me, put me on the call. If it's somebody in San Francisco, I will go sit in the room when you are on the call with that customer." So basically, I just needed to be I was the face of SalesLoft in San Francisco on these phone calls. And I was I was on them in a non-threatening way. Again, and the end goal was really key to Kyle's, philosophy of being able to serve the customer. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to help. I was a customer of SalesLoft. I knew how SalesLoft works. I know how to fit in the tech stack. How can I help you? And that's all I did. And I did that for almost 4 years at SalesLoft.
You must have been such an amazing asset for SalesLoft. I can't imagine having somebody who has that depth of RevOps experience and the passion for the product and being able to actually get on calls and help people and stuff. Because when I was looking at your resume, I was like, "Oh, solutions consulting, that's interesting." And now it makes so much sense of
"Oh, you were, it's like, RevOps?
Yeah.
Why did you do solutions consulting?" And I'm like, I didn't really leave RevOps because I was still talking RevOps every day.
Yeah, no, it was just like using, you were able to help not just the company you worked at with RevOps, but all of these companies with RevOps and get into their tech stacks and help them with, I'm sure, their SalesLoft and Salesforce integration and how it would work and how they should set up their dashboards and reporting. And I sort of love what you said there of doing it in a non-threatening way, in a non-salesy way, and just a way that's about authentically helping the customer, which is what I think ultimately sales should really be about. It's not just signing the dotted line. It's about being a consultant and being authentically helpful, which it sounds like was sort of your mindset at SalesLoft.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that was really, I credit Kyle to that. Kyle's whole philosophy was serving the customer. And it just, I was able to just it was just a fit like a glove for me. Because I love to help by nature. and it just ended up being such a good alignment, and something I really enjoyed doing, and it helped grow the company into what it was.